The night she showed up at my cabin, smoke still clinging to her clothes and fear written all over her face, she asked me a question that froze me in place. My fire died. May I stay tonight? I remember looking past her at the dark prairie, then back at her, and saying the only honest thing I could think of, but I've only got one bed. That moment changed everything, and I still don't know if I handled it the right way.
So tell me this right now, before we go any further.
Was I wrong for what I did that night, or would you have made the same choice? I'd been living alone for years, minding my cattle and my own business, when a stranger from an enemy tribe appeared at my door asking for shelter, and all the old rules I grew up with collided in my head at once. To understand why that moment mattered so much, you have to know who I was back then. I was a drifting cowboy who finally settled on a small patch of land, far from town, far from trouble, or at least that's what I told myself. The land was rough, the winters were cruel, and nights like that one could kill you if you weren't prepared. The Apache and the ranchers didn't exactly trust each other, and I'd been raised to keep my distance, not out of hatred, but out of fear and old stories whispered around campfires. So when I saw her standing there, young, exhausted, clutching a warm blanket, my first instinct was to shut the door and pretend I wasn't home. But then she looked at me, not with anger, not with pride, just with desperation, and something in my chest tightened. She told me her name was Naya, that her cooking fire had gone out miles away, and the wind had turned cruel. She said she'd tried to relight it, but the embers were dead, and the night was swallowing her whole. I invited her inside, cautiously, keeping my hands where she could see them. My cabin was simple, one room, a small table, a chair, a stove, and yes, one bed I'd built myself. I could feel the weight of the situation pressing down on me. I offered her water, then some stew I'd kept warm, and she ate like someone who hadn't known if they'd see morning. We talked in short sentences, both of us careful, both of us listening more than speaking. She told me she'd been sent ahead of her group to scout, that she'd misjudged the weather. I told her I lived alone and didn't get many visitors. The silence between us wasn't awkward. It was heavy, thoughtful, like we both knew the night was a test of something bigger than us. As the wind howled outside and the stove crackled, the problem I'd mentioned out loud hung in the air. On bed, I could see her glancing at it, then back at me, clearly wondering if she'd made a terrible mistake trusting a stranger. My mind raced with every warning I'd ever heard and every instinct telling me to do the decent thing. I thought about telling her to take the bed while I slept on the floor, but even that felt loaded, like any decision I made could be misunderstood. I wasn't afraid of her, and I didn't want her to be afraid of me. So that was the situation I was in, standing in my own cabin with a storm outside and a stranger inside who might not survive. The night without help. Before I tell you what I decided to do, I want you to pause for a second and comment what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have sent her away, given her the bed and taken your chances on the floor? Or something else entirely? What I did next surprised even me. I grabbed my spare blanket, stoked the stove until the room was warm, and told her the bed was hers, no arguments. I said I'd sleep by the fire, the way I'd done on the trail 100 times before. I could see the relief wash over her face, and she nodded, thanking me in a quiet voice that carried more weight than any speech. That night I lay on the floor, staring at the ceiling, listening to the wind die down and the steady rhythm of her breathing from the bed. Nothing happened, and that was exactly the point. By morning, the storm had passed. She woke before me, left a small carved token on the table as thanks, and was gone by the time the sun broke over the hills. The aftermath was quieter but deeper than I expected. I never saw her again, but the memory stayed with me. That night taught me that fear and kindness can exist in the same moment, and the choice you make defines who you are more than the stories you were told growing up. I didn't become a hero, and I didn't change the world, but I know I gave someone a chance to see another sunrise. If you think I did the right thing, like this video, if you think I should have handled it differently, tell me why in the comments. Subscribe for more stories like this, and share your final thoughts on this whole mess down below. I'll see you all in the next story.